Um, I actually wasn't planning to make any type of video today. I just posted and I've been a week late, so I wanted to, make that up. But this is completely different to any type of video that I have on my channel right now, which has to do with the progress and the future and, putting the work in that I do on a daily basis. So this one is actually something that involves the present and a bit of the past, well, majority of the past. So this is essentially a bit of a message and something I wanted to get out there because I never had the opportunity or the chance to really say anything about it from my end in a true capacity. English. In a true capacity. So this has to go back to about 5 to 6 years, I believe, or five. No, it's been 5 years. 5 years. So I'm out of school right now. I mean, clearly they wouldn't allow this, this flipping facial hair. So there is it's even hard for me to say because I've never really got to the point where I would say it. So let's go all the way back and give you my perspective. So about, let's say 6 years ago, right? So COVID happened. But before COVID happened, beginning of the year, because it happened in March. So obviously I was, getting back into school. I was in school. Do I want to leak my age? I was in 8th grade. Okay. So back then, there was a girl who just got into the school that I was at, right? So I didn't really know too much about the situation, right? But that's besides the story, the point of this whole video. So she got to the school and I was interested in her. I wasn't the only person who was interested, right? I had a whole friend group. Everybody was. Most of them were, even after I left. But, so I liked this girl and I didn't do anything about it. I'm actually twisting the story a bit here. So I did have a friend who actually liked this girl, right? She liked her, he liked her. I didn't really have too much interest at the time, right? Because I had my eyes on somebody else at the time. I wasn't dating anybody. I wasn't going off to anybody. So, well, I wasn't dating anybody. But like I said, I had my eyes on somebody else. But my friend, my very good friend, was interested in this girl. And, COVID happened. Not too much happened. But right before COVID kicked off, my good friend who was, dare I say, obsessed, he was really interested in this girl and he moved away. I'm not gonna say where either. And he went, and then it's funny because whenever he would talk to me about her, it was sort of like he was soft pitching me her, the idea of her and why he was so interested in her. But I didn't really see it because obviously he's my friend. So if my friend talks to me about somebody they're interested, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to support them like any good friend should. And then when he left, it's like a spark came. I started I was interested in this girl, but I didn't start anything until I really spoke to him, which was horrible, by the way. It shouldn't get to a point where I want to be in a relationship with somebody who a good friend of mine wanted. Like, that's completely out of the picture now. I'll never do that, no matter how stunning, how beautiful this female is or this girl is. I'll never do that ever again. But he left, and then I spoke to him about it. I mean, he said it was cool, so I got his blessing. Because he was in the USA, there was not really much anything to do. I just leaked where he went. He was in the USA, and there wasn't much to do for him on his side, and I don't think he was coming back. I'm pretty sure he let me know he wasn't going to come back. So, obviously, in 8th grade, I wasn't expecting him to come back, but, he left. Following year, I started to, try something, because I really did see the appeal, right? I really like this girl. So I remember quite vividly, I was in the same drama class as her, and it's kind of funny. So I think it was during the lesson, I literally didn't have a number. I think I did have friends. I had friends who had her number, but they liked this girl so much that they kept it for me, and they didn't give me anything. So I was like, okay, fine, that's completely fine, right? So I was like, let me try and do something on my own at least. So then I went on Microsoft Teams, and they laughed at me for this. By the way, they are L people for not, helping. I don't talk to those guys anymore. They weren't good people in that sense, right? I mean, if my friend had this situation, bro, I'm giving him the number. Even if he just told me I like this girl, bro, the number's right there. If I have it, you have it. So, anyways, I messaged her on Teams, and we talked for a little bit, and this was before, I had a glimpse at her, and I assumed she liked me back as well, because I did see her catch me staring at her a couple of times, so, across the class. So I hit up on Teams, and then eventually she asked me for my number, which really caught me off guard, because that's never happened, right? Because I was like, bro, I'm chopped, so that never happened. And then she did that, so I was like, oh, okay. And then started talking through WhatsApp, and the thing is, we kept it on there, and it was pretty much the same, right? It was just talking on WhatsApp, and I really wanted to, hit the gas a little bit and start pushing it a bit further. But let me tell you the first big problem of this whole thing, right? So she has a friend group, I had a friend group, right? These friend groups coincided. This friend group was friends with this friend group. Her friend group was friends with my friend, right? I wasn't friends with any of her friends, but she was friends with my friends. If you know what I'm saying? That was the problem, right? That two parties are now involved, right? Two groups are involved. It's not just a one-on-one now. It's not like a 1v1. You feel me? So, you feel me? So it's just, I shouldn't be laughing. I'm just laughing because I'm being stupid. But two people were involved, right? Two groups were involved, and that's what messed with me in my head, because every decision I made was based on what the group would think, or what her group would think. I don't know how it was for her. I'm assuming she was more independent, because being honest, one of the biggest points and one of the biggest appeals that I did like about this girl was that she was hardworking, and I saw that she was independent and she was quite mature, right, for her age. And I felt that I was, and I wasn't at the time, but I was mature compared to everybody else. And yeah, so that's what really had me, go head over heels over this girl. So, that's one of the first problems that happened, right? So because of that, I had a lot of pressure. There was a lot of pressure that was just there, right? Because obviously, like I said, it's not just two people. It's like it's two groups now. So I had a lot of pressure. They're telling me, don't do this because this. Oh, she's doing this. Oh, Villa, go to her and do this. Go do that, right? So that's what was literally being fed to me. That was what was being fed to me. Go do this, go do that, go do this. The typical peer pressure stuff, And it really got to me, right? And I'm not defending what I did in that time. I'm not going to defend any of that because all of the stuff that I did in that time was completely wrong. Like, I understand that completely, right? So, like I said, I wanted to hit the accelerator a little bit. I wanted to hit the gas. So I'd talk to her and I'd tell her like, hey, let's, and I was also like incredibly shy, right? Because, like I said, I wasn't too confident because I had a lot of things going on because I was thinking a lot. I was really thinking about a lot of stuff. I had a lot of social anxiety, right? I just couldn't talk to people. I just couldn't. I was just afraid of what they think I would say, and that played a part in the whole group situation being a problem, right? So that's the second problem. I wanted to, talk more to this girl, and like I said, hit the guys. So I'd tell her like, hey, let's meet up at break. I'll text her, I'd be like, let's meet up at break, and I'll go meet you at the tuck shop or whatever, right? So, okay, she was down with it, right? And at that time, when I sent that message, I didn't even think about, okay, I'm going to go and see this girl. That's how I would think. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go talk to her. I'm going to have a conversation. We're going to chill. I didn't think about that. The only thing I was thinking of was, bro, who knows about this? What are my friends going to think? What are they going to do? Are they going to show up there? Are they going to mess around? What are they going to do? What is her group going to do? What are they feeding her? What are they saying to her? That's what I was thinking, which is like completely stupid. I shouldn't have thought about that at all. So we went. So then, whenever break time would come over, I would go there, and I would see her. My memory's a bit fuzzy about it though, but I do believe all of those times that I did tell her to meet, she would be there, right? And I think the one time she was pulling up late, which is understandable because, we have different classes. So if I'm there first, then, but every time she'd show up, I wouldn't be there, right? I would stand her up like the entire time. I just wouldn't show up at all, right? And it's because I'm gonna say it, I was being selfish. I was thinking about me, instead of, what I'm actually doing. Like, I'm not being a good person right here. I'm trying to keep it censored. Well, not censored, but I'm not trying to say anything crazy, but I'm not being a good person right here. And so I'd keep doing that because I was afraid, like I said, and I was afraid to talk to her. But I did want to talk to her. Like, she was a cool girl. Like, I remember talking to her, and I would talk to her for a while, dude. Like, on the chats. I was too scared to call her even because I was worried I wouldn't have anything to say. But we talk a lot, like every day. When I'm on holiday, whenever, bro, I'll even hit her up like late at night, like midnight, even, yeah, like late stuff, late hours, middle of the day, whenever, you know. She was just a cool girl to talk to, and I was just afraid, right? And so continuing on to that, I just kept ignoring her, and I would be online on the chats all the time. Like, the energy on the chat stayed the same, but in person I tried to push away, and I would walk away, and I would run away, and I was teasing this girl in a horrible manner. And I remember even in the hallways, like, I would bump into her, and I'll think about it in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna say hi, we're gonna talk, and I'm gonna stop her and say, hey, what's up? And then by the time she starts coming towards me, and sometimes she'd smile. I think she did initially, but I'd act like she wasn't even there. Like, I would completely ignore her because of that stupid fear I had. I would just ignore this girl. So I'd walk past, I'd ignore her. And it just kept continuing. And that was just damaging the trust that I had, that we had between us. So, obviously I'd be like, oh, come on, let's go talk, a break. And I say, I promise I'm gonna speak to you, I promise. And I know this because I said this because I felt like she thought I was trying to like play her off or something. So I was like, bro, I promise I'll talk to you, I promise I'll see you. That's what I find pathetic to me, that I stooped down to that low. I stooped down that low to the point where I'm trying to negotiate a conversation that should have been done a long time ago, and all of the, I delayed everything. This is a long video. I'm probably gonna cut it into parts. This is gonna be very long. But I said okay. And we just kept talking. And the one time I remember I asked her if we can even go on a date. Like, I asked her out on a date while I was ignoring her and doing this thing. And she said no, understandably. And I was too selfish, like I said, for me to even understand what's going on. So seeing this, I just thought, whoa, I thought this girl liked me. Like, is she just ignoring me? I didn't see what was going on. I was like, did I do something wrong? What did I do? So I really didn't see it, and I was confused, right? And, time kept going. I even asked her, I think I asked her if she could be my girlfriend at some point, right? And then she said, no, I'm not dating anybody at the moment, right? So I was like, oh, okay. That's cool. I was fine with it because I was like, okay, well, at least I can be friends, and you never know what could happen, I guess. But it still stayed on the chats. But I'd see her every day, and it really breaks my heart to even just think about being back in that situation and putting myself back there. Being the person I am now, where whenever there's an opportunity, I'll pull the trigger. Whenever something needs to be done, I do it. Back then, I just couldn't do it. It's like, it was stupid. It was just stupid. There's no other way to describe it. So yeah, so she said no. I said okay. And even back then, whenever I heard a no, I just thought, okay, I mean, that's it. There's no coming back from this, it's done. So in the meantime, I was still talking to her. And, you know, the friends were still there. They were giving me all sorts of crap that I genuinely wish I could have told her, but I didn't want to say anything. For instance, they would show off. My friends would try and show off on me and say, "Look who I got at my house. Look at who's sleepover I'm at," and it would be the girl, and they'll try and get me mad, right? I didn't really understand it because I didn't, I was just lost at the time, and I really did feel alone, even though I had all eyes on me. So I was completely lost, and they come here and they say, "Oh, look who I'm with right now. Look at who I'm doing this with. I mean, what I'm doing with, Oh, look at this, look at that." Send me pictures of her, or they'd flip and call me, and she'd be on the other side of the line trying to make me jealous. That's really not what I was thinking about. And then my friend even went far. He said something very disgusting, very vile. And I don't want to say too much about it, but he told me, hey, literally at the end of the school day the one time, he was like, "Hey, bro, I was in the bathroom, I was thinking about her. That's all I'm gonna give you." He was like, "Oh, I was thinking about her." And I was like, "Are you serious?" I was actually gonna tell this girl tell this girl that he said this, because he was a friend of hers. So I was like, okay. I kept it pushing. I didn't say anything. And there's really so much to think about. There's so much that happened. But yeah, as time went on, I didn't even mention this, but I also had a family member, right? And obviously everyone has family members. I had a family member who I don't speak to, and I don't plan to speak to again until that person is better in their lives and does better. But this situation is the reason why I completely had them removed, from me and my other siblings, right? And that's the reason why I don't want them to speak to my other siblings. So when I got integrated, this relative, this cousin, he told me, "Hey, you should start experimenting in high school." So he was telling me, go smoke, go, take weed, try these different, psychedelics, go try these, And it got to the point where he was also supplying me because, I'm in a strict household at the time. And he was like, "Oh man, forget all that." He wasn't speaking like that. He was like, "Forget all that. Like, I got you, mind you, I'm in the 8th grade. I'm 14. I'm 14 turning 15, and he's telling me to smoke, to drink, to take drugs, to experiment." And he was supplying me, mind you, horrific stuff. And that's exactly why I got him gone. And how this relates to the story is when I started speaking to this girl in person. So whenever I had the opportunity, and because I knew I was so afraid, I was consuming content. And obviously in movies and in videos and whatever, they say, okay, well, if you take certain stuff, it'll give you enough confidence, and then you can go up and you can do whatever you want. It gives you the confidence, right? And I also felt it on my own. I was like, okay, well, I can speak to more people, It gives me that confidence. It axes that fear. Like, it gets rid of that fear. So I was like, okay, cool. So I took it at school. At school. And so I was like, okay, this is a good idea. Took it. Then I went up to this girl, absolutely gone. And I tried speaking to her, but it was all of the wrong things. My friends didn't tell me not to do it. They didn't say don't even talk to her when I brought up the idea. They didn't say anything. They didn't stop me from doing this. Not saying they encouraged it either, but they didn't tell me don't do it. They didn't ask me why. So I just, so with those foundations, what was going to stop me? You get what I'm saying? That's what my mindset was at the time. So I did all that stuff. Then I went to her, and every time I spoke to her, I was under the influence, or I just wasn't sober. And that's what strained it even more, because she wouldn't see me for me. It was like a completely different guy texting. At least this is what I'm saying from my perspective. And I would speak to her, and I wasn't fully there, and I wasn't present, I wasn't conscious, and I wasn't doing the right things. Just wasn't speaking right. And that's because mentally I wasn't in the right place. So this is 9th grade at this point, like I said. So it's just stupid. I'm just thinking, it's just stupid. So I'd do that, and so at that point, every time she would have a conversation with me, I looked like the biggest idiot, like the biggest idiot. And another thing that I do know for a fact, right? When I say I know that for a fact, I'm not saying anybody's talking to me about it. I just know because of how my friends were. I know they told her I was under the influence. I know they told her I was bugging, right? And I was tweaking. And it's not because it was to the point where they cared for me and they was like, fella's doing this, like, so you just try not to speak to him. No, it was like, he's on it. It's so funny. Like, it was that timing. That's what they were on. It was funny. It was funny to them. Like, okay, he's on stuff. Like, let him speak to this girl he actually cares about. Like, so I did that. So like I said, every time she saw me, I was a complete idiot. And one of the pinnacle moments that I do remember, which I felt like was a break, was the thing that, like, was the lost wound in the chamber before the final blow, was my best friend, who I still talk to today, right? I'm not gonna say his name either, but he had a party at his house, and he threw me a bone, and he invited this girl to the party so I can have an opportunity to talk to her properly. And for that, I'm actually forever grateful. He's a real G for that. He's a real brother for that. And yeah, I do consider him my brother, by the way. And so she showed up, and she was with the friends she was with my friends. She was chilling with them and stuff, and I think they were trying to help, but I didn't know what the motive was. I really didn't, and I wasn't thinking like this at all at that time. So, but I know that but they knew how I was at the time, so I was under the influence this time, under beverages, right? And it was my first time ever doing that. So, but it was at a higher scale. It was like high scale. So I was gone, and I'm sure they saw me, and I wasn't being a good person there as well. I was speaking to a bunch of other girls as well at that party, just so stupid. And then, yeah, obviously I was gone. And then they tried to chuck a bone at me, and she was with them, and it was a stupid joke. Or I don't know if it was a joke, or I didn't even get it until like 2 years ago. I didn't even like clock it. But I remember that I was gone, and this friend, the main one, like the leader of this group, the one who would send me pictures where she's at his house or he's at her house or what, I don't know. Like they were always like closer, I guess. He was the leader of the group. He was the leader. And so he asked me, he's like, hey, Avila. And she's looking at me and she's smiling. She's like, oh, he's like, what cake do you like? Chocolate or vanilla? Right? That's what he asked me. So I didn't even see that it's, he was trying to, throw me a bone. I didn't see he was trying to do that. So I said, chocolate. I mean, I don't like either. I'm being honest. I don't like to, like, my favorite cake is cheesecake. You know what I mean? So, like, I didn't have anything. I was like, what are you, I was suspect. I was like, what are you asking me right now? And then he's like, yeah. And then I said chocolate. And I was walking away. I said chocolate. And I saw her face, like, she started frowning. So I was like, oh. But, I mean, I didn't really clock it too much. But then later on in the night, we sat in the living room and we had a conversation, and I was just going. I was going with the beverages, with the bevs. I was going with the bevs. And I wasn't present there. I think because of the reason, I think it's because I knew she was coming over, and that was the whole point. That was the main objective, and I was overwhelmed with that, which was stupid. Like I said, again, I keep saying it. It was stupid that I got overwhelmed, and this really was a whole issue with me. But yeah, so we had a conversation, and even her friends were trying to chuck a bone. I do think that this whole night was actually, I don't think they were trying to help me in this sense. I think they were trying to help her, because I didn't feel, nothing was really orientated through me. I don't think nobody was helping me. People were helping her.